Hello, everyone. My name is Rajesh Nambiar. I am part of the Learning Alliances team, and I'm responsible for the Academic Alliance program at UiPath. Thank you for joining this panel discussion on building a successful automation education program. I have the privilege of introducing the panelists to you. We have Vincent Lim, who's a UiPath Visionary Educator for 2022 and a Senior Lecturer, School of Engineering, Republic Polytechnic, Singapore with us. Welcome to the panel, Vincent.
Hello.
Thank you. And then we have Saravanan, Saravanan, who is the head of marketing and products for the ICT Academy, which is a not-for-profit focused on skill development in India. Welcome to the panel, Saravanan.
Hi, everyone.
Unfortunately, our third panelist, Chris Sujatmuko, is actually attending a personal emergency and is unable to join the session. Just to give a quick background on what Chris has done. Chris has been instrumental in leading the UiPath Academic Alliance efforts for us in Indonesia, and has been a two-time UiPath Visionary Educator for us. I'm sure we'll miss Chris in this panel, but we have lots of topics and a lot of experience to learn and share from the other two panelists. And we're looking forward to an engaging session with both the other panelists here today. So let's get started. I think all of us would love to start hear from our panelists on a quick insight on your work and on your organization that you're associated with. Right, so I'll probably open this up to Vincent to hear from you. What do you do as part of your role and the organization that you represent?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rajesh, for the introduction. So my name is Vincent. I'm actually a senior lecturer with Republic Polytechnic School of Engineering. I still remember when I started my career with the institution 6 years ago. It was mainly teaching full-time students. The full-time students that is actually with the institution, with the Polytechnic. And over the last 4 years, there's actually a bit of a shift, in the amount of time that we actually spend towards educating the current workforce, which are the adult learners. So in Singapore, we actually have this initiative, which we actually call Skills Future, where we actually teach adult learners on the latest developments in technologies that are taking place and how it will actually change the way we do work. And one of the technology that we actually adopted very earlier on is the robotic process automation technology. So we were actually the first institution in Singapore to actually introduce courses and programs in this area. So personally, I was actually part of the pioneer team of RPA trainers and developers, where we actually roll out first use cases and pilot cases with companies. So we actually started working with the local companies that are in Singapore, demonstrating to them the benefits of using RPA. And thereafter, once they actually realize that RPA could actually help relieve a lot of their repetitive work, then more and more companies start to come on board. We have our government ministries, agencies, joining us in the training. And thereafter, we actually work very closely with Skills Future to actually roll out a training project-based kind of RPA program, which we actually call Go RPA. So then thereafter, we actually conduct a 2-day training for the organization. And thereafter, we actually spend another 1.5 days to 2 days working with them on projects. And at the end of the program, all the participants who join in this training program, they actually have a working board running, which they bring back to their organization. And building on these successes that we actually see from this project-based RPA program, we thereafter bring it into the institution, where from training of the current workforce, we actually train the future workforce, which are actually our current students. So we start to work very closely with the Academic Alliance in bringing the curriculum into our module, into preparing students through final year projects, through internship, working very closely with the industry in this area of RPA.
Thank you, Vincent. I think I still have memories with me. When we started the program, I think, as you said, Republic Polytechnic was already teaching, and that was the first meeting where we did not have to tell about the technology because you were already much ahead of time. So I think we'll have a good, interesting panel to hear about your journey in the last 4 years with UiPath and the Academic Alliance.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely. Also, thank you so much for the very close support, that in working with the company, supporting them real time in many of these use cases.
Thank you, Vincent. Saravanan, I think we've also shared a good relationship for so many years now, and we are very closely associated with ICT Academy. But I think the audience would also want to love to hear from you on what you've been doing as part of the program and what is the organization specialization.
Hi Rajesh, and hi Vincent. It's a great privilege to be a part of this panel discussion on the Automation Education Summit 2022. So Vincent, as you rightly said, you're from a education background. We are a typical organization. We actually work. We are a government organization. We actually work to bridge the gap between the industrial requirement and academic output. So ICT Academy, as such, the organization which I represent is a not-for-profit autonomous organization which is formed in India to bridge the gap between the industrial requirement and the academic output. Predominantly in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 regions of India, where really the skilling is required and the need for skilling is required for the students community. And we specifically work and we also align with the vision of Government of India on 4 important visions which Government of India has on the Skill India, Digital India, Startup India, and Make in India is the 4 vision of Government of India. We also align according to that to skill our next generation youth. And we have also developed a framework which is called the 7 pillar model, in which all our initiatives of ICT Academy will come under that 7 pillar objective, which is obviously the faculty development, which is on the first of the priority, because the educators of every institution has to be trained. Our philosophy is that we train one educator, it is equal to train more hundreds and thousands of students, because education transforms through the educator. So we strongly believe that educator has to be trained on whatever is the industrial requirement. So whatever we do, our first important criteria or first important focus area will be on developing the faculty development, who in turn will develop the next generation youth. So that is being our first and important pillar of ICT Academy. We also work on the other pillars like youth empowerment, student skill development, entrepreneurship development, research and publication, which is also equally plays an important role for the upliftment of the next generation youth. And also we also conduct a lot of industry institute events and the conclave, so where the industry experts come and share their thoughts on what is required for the industry for both the educators and students. So this is the 7 pillar model which we have been working, and I'm very happy and proud to say that we are working with close to 1260 plus colleges across India, and we have touched close to 11.1 million life, and we have a vision of touching some 20 million life in the year 2025 for this important initiative of skilling. So that is the important objective. And in my current responsibility in this organization is to a strong evangelist to evangelist the technology to the educator and students. So I work in this organization for connecting the technology giants, the industry majors like UiPath, to the colleges who are situated in the rural parts across India on the importance of the technology. And I'm also happy that when this technology called RPA was introduced as a new technology, we are also new to this technology, and the colleges we have been working was also new to this technology. So we have pioneered and we have tied up with the pioneer UiPath on taking this technology RPA to the various colleges whom we have tied up. And when we started this partnership, we signed with UiPath as an India partner manner, and after which we disseminated this knowledge to the education institution across India. And very happy to announce saying that when we invited the expression of interest from various colleges, as how many colleges are interested to take this skilling initiative or this new initiative to their students and educators, close to 500 plus education institutions came forward in joining the UiPath's Academic Alliance program. That was a great year for us. Before a couple of years, we had 500 institutions joining in reasonably 30 to 45 days. That was a great achievement or a great thing, where it is a proof of the pudding, that saying that the technology is new and the people also wanted to know about the new technology. So the colleges and the institutions whom we have been working was kind enough to ensure, give a heartfelt welcome to ensure this RPA as a technology is need of the hour for their educators and students. So we have been working very closely with UiPath and the academic institutions to bridge the actual bridge of industry and academia, is what is my initial thought for you, Mr. Rajesh.
Thank you, Saravanan. I think that's exhaustive information, and we are grateful for the partnership, right? I think we would have never scaled to 500 or 600 partners in India had there not been a partner like you, and we would not be able to take it to more educators without your support. I think the partnership has been win-win for both of us, and we are grateful that you've helped take this technology and knowledge to more and more students and learners from there. So let's move on. So I think thank you for taking time to give a insight of what you do. I think keeping the theme of this panel in mind, one of the things that I wanted to do is to break it into 3 pieces. Where first would be, as you know, in a typical learning journey, the first focus that we wanted to take time on was to spend some time on literacy efforts that you've taken in, and then probably move to a skill development effort, because it is incomplete. Literacy to skill development is when you actually acquire the skill, and once you've acquired the skill, how do you connect them with the industry? And each one of you both of you have success stories from your experience working with this, and I think the audience would love to hear. So maybe, Vincent, we'll start with you. Let's start with the first piece, which is automation literacy, right? And as I've mentioned earlier, you were much ahead of time when we reached in for the technology with the program and the adoption. But I'm sure you would have had your own challenges, educating your students on the benefit and value. We would love to hear from you, Vincent.
Yeah, so actually I kind of remembered there was actually 5 years back when we actually first came upon this RPA tool. So of course, before we actually start sharing with the company, sharing with our full-time students, so there's actually a lot of learning that for us as educators, for us as trainers, that we actually learn on the go. So that means we were actually, I still remember back then, UiPath have a very good, UiPath Academy that was actually set up even 5 years back. Yeah, so at the time, a lot of us, we actually self-learn, and there were actually certain milestones that was actually set. Yeah, so for us to be able to work with the companies or even provide training with companies, all of us were required to complete. I remember back then there were the level 1, level 2, level 3 certification. So all of us were required to complete, across the 3 levels, to attain a certain proficiency. And it's not just that about completing the proficiency from the UiPath Academy, but then thereafter we also need to work on projects personally. So after we have learned about what UiPath RPA can do, we actually thereafter we start translating them into automation projects. So we actually started, as educator, we actually have a lot of administration that we need to do regularly for our modules within our institution. So we actually started working on actual use cases that we do on a day-to-day basis, automating it using RPA. And then after we share with internally within the different departments. We also share it with a cross-training organization. Yeah, so I remember during the COVID time, some of the automation that we did, as a training institution, like in the generation of certificate, in the emailing of the e-certs to the different participants, we actually use RPA, within the institute. Then we also share with many training providers in Singapore. Then they also start to adopt these use cases. So it's actually is from personal benefits that we actually got, we start to share with people around internally within the organization, and also externally with the other training organization, other agencies, other ministries. And back then, from the benefits that we have gotten in working with companies on projects, we actually started to have seminars. We actually conducted seminars for the public, where a few hundreds actually joined in the seminars when we started to share about what RPA is, what are the use cases we have developed. And it got many people, in the different organizations interested. They said, wow, RPA can actually do that. And it's actually not that difficult to learn. So from us, we actually start sharing, more and more. And when COVID-19 came, we actually moved the seminars online to webinars. And during the 2.5 years, the last 2.5 years, we actually conducted almost like 30 webinars, almost every month. We have been conducting webinars, both for the general public online or specifically for organization to organization senior management team. Yeah, and also internally within the Singapore government through the different ministries and agencies. Yeah, and some of the perks that we actually also started to incorporate is because we actually have a few bots that we have developed and working. Yeah, we actually share it with the people who actually join the webinars or the seminars. We say that, hey, you could actually use these bots that we have created. Yeah, you can actually go to the UiPath website, download UiPath, give it a try, learn, and you can run this bot and you can get the benefit straight away. Yeah, so then after they really experience, wow, that UiPath is RPA is actually very easy to learn. Then from there, they also started sharing online through social media on how they actually learn it, on how when they attended a seminar or the webinar that we have shared, that they could actually get started on it. Then there were also different groups, let's say for those who would like to have personal guided, training, face-to-face training. So we actually directed them to our one-day RPA workshop that we have. And our institution, we were actually the first to roll out a Skills Future funded, like just like I shared about Skills Future funded Studio X RPA workshop. Yeah, the moment I remember UiPath launched it towards the end of 2019. Then within 6 months, we already have this program ready and we start introducing to different organizations. And many of them were interested to find out what RPA is about, how to get started. So then thereafter, they sign up for the one-day RPA workshop to get a feel of what is it and what they can do. And for those who were interested, they move on into our project-based Go RPA program. Yeah, and building on these different successes, of training the adult learners, we actually start to develop curriculum for our full-time students. Yeah, so maybe later I will share further on how we actually develop a roadmap where our full-time students will actually go through and thereafter help the companies on it.
Lovely. Okay, so that's a very interesting journey, as you mentioned, right? And I think what is visible there is the power of an educator. As Saravanan mentioned earlier, each educator has this potential to impact tens and thousands of students. I think from your conversation, I think that is very evident that how much of impact that you've created for our ecosystem. Right. So maybe Saravanan, from your perspective, I'm sure you have a bigger challenge because you're talking to more and more institutions. You have different organizations, different stakeholders to interact. But how? I mean, is there something that you would want to share in terms of how you've driven the literacy effort to educate people on the value of RPA?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Vincent, for educating us on the roadmap. So I was very eager and lovely to hear your roadmap on how to develop curriculum and taking it to the company. So it was a great learning for me. So we in ICT Academy also feel that the foundation of the students has to be built strongly, because whenever there is a new technology or a new era of technology is happening, we wanted to ensure the foundation of the students or the educators are laid strongly, because foundation plays to the next step for them. So even though there are 3 levels of certification on foundation, expert, and advanced level, we whatever we do in ICT Academy, we wanted to ensure the foundation stone is laid very strongly. And when we started, we felt that when we started this RPA as a technology, it was a new technology. As I said in the beginning, it's a new technology, and making the educator and the students understand the importance of technology. So we also drove this foundation literacy program with our education institutions across across India on the RPA literacy program. What we do, we have different approaches, various approaches we approach. One is this, we do a mass awareness campaign with the educators and students, where we do a lot of academic meets in order to ensure this technology has been introduced to the educators. We do a lot of evangelization sessions or the seminars where the experts from UiPath will be a part of it, experts from ICT Academy. We also have a in-house trained and certified experts from UiPath. They all do a lot of evangelization in order to make the people understand why RPA is very important, so that foundation is laid strongly. So as a continuation of that, if everything is available at free or no cost, we should not say the word free, it is no cost, because UiPath offers at no cost to the students. When we go and when we say to the students and educator, please go and learn this, this is a very value, they do not understand the value of the program, because there is a no cost attached to it. So what we try to build with the educators in order to drive this literacy, we ensure that we are launching one important initiative with UiPath as a year-on-year initiative, which we call it as a skillathon. So the word itself has a skill. It's a skilling initiative. So instead of hackathon, we made it a skillathon. It is a 1 month of activity or a 15 days of activity. So we had, like our initial days, how the colleges came forward to join the UiPath academic alliances. They should not stop their activity by joining the academic alliance. We have to keep them engaged, so that the academic alliance term or the college will also have the benefit of understanding, because some activities are happening in and around that academic alliance. So we thought we will launch this skillathon as an initiative, and in the skillathon we run the RPA digital literacy program as a as a continuous event, where we have some events called for, and we do a lot of sessions, and the students do complete the self-learning. We created a competitive spirit among the colleges, saying that we had a leaderboard in place where everything is open. So how many students have registered, how many students have completed, which college is leading. So it all keeps changing day by day, and thanks to UiPath team, because we had live data. As everything is run by a bot, we have programmed in such a way that even if me and Rajesh is not giving the report, the reports are automatically thrown in the dashboard, where the colleges feel that the report comes on a lively basis, and they also keep that competitive spirit among them, and they push more number of people, because every college works on a competitive spirit. They say my college should be number one, my more number of students has to be learned on RPA literacy. We give them a certificate, recognition, all those stuffs we have created as a program, and we have ensured in the first, we have launched last year in the month of December 2021 in the FAG year, and we pressurized UiPath to do this event because that is the heart of the academic season in India. So we, even though it is an year end for UiPath, we wanted to do it in the December month. So we did it, and closely around 50,000 plus students have registered for this program, and we also ensure the registration may be a number of people, but the conversion and the completion rate should be high. And there are close to 44,000 plus students who have completed the digital literacy program from approximately 560 to 570 colleges. So that was a massive hit, and very happy that this year also we are going to continue the Skillathon 2022, and we have launched in the we had a global Martin coming here, and we have launched the UiPath's Skillathon 2022 as a second edition now, and we are targeting to have some 1,000 colleges with 1 lakh students having the basic digital literacy, because every year the students keep on changing. So for the students who have done the digital literacy already, we had some other plans. For the students who are enrolling new for this year, we have to make sure that they are also getting educated and ensure they are coming up with the technology. So we have done the basic on the digital literacy, and the colleges and institutions are welcoming the initiatives which we drive in the literacy part.
Thank you, sir. And I think that's we're looking forward to the 22 edition of Skillathon. This time we probably want to look at having a bigger impact for that, right? So both of you have addressed the literacy part, right? So I still remember when we used to go to colleges in India, when we say robotic process automation, the first correlation was to physical robots. I think that's changed in the last 4 years. Today, the acceptance as a technology, as a career path has grown, and it's all because of partners like the ICT, and of course, educators like Vincent, who are also who are making an impact for us for that. Thank you so much for both of you for sharing your inputs. I think we'll combine the next two questions, just to share in the interest of time as well. Now we've spoken about literacy. Now, I think the most important part for us is next is building that skill, and it is incomplete if we don't connect it with the job, right? And I think that's a big factor for us, because no skill adds value unless you connect it with something. There's an outcome associated. I think we'll start with Vincent. You have an amazing story to share from Singapore, your personal effort in driving that, and we would love to hear from you, Vincent, and then we'll open it out for Saravanan to share his part as well.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Actually, just now when I heard Saravanan sharing about the skills-a-thon was very impressive. Yeah, very impressive. So actually, from our institution side, how we actually approach to incorporating this RPA into our full-time student learning is actually a bit of a gradual process. If we look at it, it's like 2 years in the making. So right at the beginning, we actually incorporate it into our standard module lesson, where we actually look at across which are the modules where RPA will have the greatest benefit on the student learning. So then we actually identify this particular module that is core to our diploma program. And we actually incorporate a lesson, based on existing use case. So it's actually a manufacturing process on how previously they were to do the work manually using Excel, transferring the information from Excel into email, into planning. Then thereafter, this particular lesson actually have them go through the process where they actually utilize RPA. So we actually based on actual use case that the industry have encountered, and how they actually use this actual use case and use RPA to actually incorporate their learning into it. So basically all the students within the diploma program, they actually go through this lesson together. And thereafter, towards the final year of the program, the students actually have the opportunity to work with industry to get more real world experience. So typically within the first half of the final year, they actually will work on industry-linked final year projects. Yeah, so that's where we actually start rolling out, a few industry-linked RPA projects, where the students have the opportunity to actually go further into this area of that they have actually learned, and thereafter work with companies on real cases where the companies maybe they are doing certain processes or work manually, and almost over the last 4 years they have actually worked with many. We have different teams working with different industry. It could be aerospace, it could be from finance, banking, it could be human resource function, manufacturing, logistics. So they have actually worked with all these different companies in developing RPA bots for them. Yeah, and usually from these teams, right, towards the second half of the final year, they will actually start going on internship. And usually the students who, after they have successfully completed their final year projects that's on RPA, they were thereafter, select a RPA related internship where they were thereafter enhance their skill further in this area. And thanks to the close working relation that we actually have with Rajesh and the Academic Alliance, in the last 1 year, we actually start to incorporate, certification, in recognizing students who are more proficient in this area of citizen developer. So then thereafter, we actually train them into the more advanced topic of UiPath Studio X. And thereafter, we actually conduct assessment, based on their knowledge to see how proficient they are in this area of UiPath Studio X. Yeah, so upon successfully passing the final exam, they'll be awarded an academic diploma that from both our institution together with the Academic Alliance to the students. And the students who actually have this certification, it will actually give the companies also greater confidence. The students will also, be able to use this, in their further either job application, or when they are applying for further studies, they can also use this certification. So this is the kind of roadmap that we actually develop, from common module lessons to applying into the real world through final year projects, to thereafter applying to internship. And personally, I feel that some of the more heartening things that I actually see is the companies where they have actually deployed these RPA bots into, they're still using it now. Yeah, they're still using it now, and they are still running their day-to-day process using these bots that the students have actually created. Yeah.
That's a really nice impact that educators are doing, right? As I said, you have an army of students with you, and if they are empowered on this knowledge, I think they can go out and then create this, share this message of automation, build and solve the problem for the world also for us. I think, Vincent, your team has done an amazing job. Maybe some other time we would love to showcase some of the projects that the students have built, right? Because this is an amazing use case for the others in the educator ecosystem also to share, to hear and listen for that. So thank you for sharing that. Saravanan, maybe any things that you've done as an organization in terms of skill development that you would want to share?
Yeah, definitely. So skill development is our second pillar when I started my initial thoughts, because the skilling or the entire ecosystem will not end unless until a youth or a kid gets a good employment opportunity, or he or she starts his own organization. So whatever we even though in my initial remarks I said faculty is very important, but as an educator, or as we all three are here to ensure that the next generation youth are getting a good job in a good organization. So we always believe that developing skill is also one important activity as a part of our initiatives. And as I rightly said, in the digital literacy front, we have segregated the target audience also. As Vincent said, the second year students probably may be into the foundations of digital literacy, and the pre-final year and the final year students who are coming out of their graduating out of their college have been identified by us. And we have been taking this UiPath certification course with a global certification also attached to it to the students, because we found there are a lot of job opportunities. We also work with a lot of organization because we work with industry and academia. So a lot of our skilling partners, major corporate giants, I don't want to name their name, major corporate giants also are looking after the trained and certified talent from RPA. So we found there is a huge opportunity for the students on getting a job opportunity. So we ensured that we cannot expect all the educators who are there in the colleges to go and deliver in the same level as expected by the industry. So we have our own in-house trainers who have been certified and expert by UiPath. They in turn go and deliver some skill development students training and certification program to the colleges. So on need basis, it is not we are not going to scale someone like as in Skillathon we would have touched some 45,000 or 50,000 in college we would have done. But skilling is very important aspect. If we go and train some 10,000 20,000 students, we have to find jobs for them. So we are very particular on that skilling part. So what is the requirement from the industry and what is the available demand? So we work with the industry and academia together, identify what is the requirement, and ensure this information has been transformed to the education institutions who have been working with us, and enroll few students who are really interested to take their career in the path of RPA, ensure they are getting trained and also getting a global certification from UiPath is one approach which we work with colleges. And as an additional effort, we also motivate the colleges to set up these center of excellence, the wide term center of excellence, but academic alliance, there are a lot of software tools which is required for students to practice in the lab. So we ensure the college who are adopting this skilling initiative has a dedicated lab for those students so that they can go and work, because we are working in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and we cannot expect the students to go back to their home, sit in their laptop conveniently and work. So we ensure that everything is available for them inside the college, because they are all college students, and they will do all their activities whatever is there inside the college premises. And there is another case where we work is in the skilling initiatives. There are certain corporates, large multinational organizations who are ready to support for the certification, because when we work with the tier 2 and tier 3, even though we are working with academic alliance, there is a cost attached towards certification. So we cannot request UiPath can give some discount, but they cannot give it at no cost like digital literacy or RPA literacy. So we work with major organizations to get some of their corporate social responsibility fund and fund these students who are really from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities who are really in need of this skilling initiative and really talented students. We sponsor as on behalf of those companies and ensure they are getting trained and they are also getting certified and they are also getting employment opportunities in a large organization. Is one important skilling initiatives we are trying to do. Last year, in the CSR front, in the corporate social responsibility alone, we have extended this RPA certification close to 1,500 students, and the students are in the process of taking the examination. Probably in the next session or so, I can share the success story, as so many students have got placed in large organization. As of now, the students are in the process of learning and getting the certificate. In near future, definitely these students will get a good employment opportunity. Is what is my point in fact of the skilling initiatives, Mr. Rajesh.
Thank you, Saravanan. I think, Vincent, you've touched a very important point there, right? So when we spoke for the first time, one of the concerns that you brought up was the cost of the exam. And as you said, students have to fund it, and we understand that, right? So the best we could do was to offer a discount. So together with Vincent and his team at Republic Poly, we aligned a co-branded co-branded certificate for them, where students were evaluated and recognized. The recognition was given as an outcome for that. So I still remember, you've actually done the exams, you've got them to take up the build a bot session, and then you had actually issued those certificates together for that. I think that's a good case study to share, where colleges are struggling, because at the end of the day, the talent, I'm sure the talent can get certified once they go into these industries, right? And that was a similar challenge that ICT faced, and they were kind enough to actually get CSR fundings for us for those classes, so students could get certified for that as well, right? So I think good, good conversation, two different aspects, and I'm sure that will open up more ideas to all the listeners here. As a closing remark for this, I just wanted to see, all of us have a job, a full-time job that we take care of, right? But then there is something that is also called that we all take a lot of pride on, which is how much have we given back to the society, right? And I'm sure Vincent, you have a story to share, because your current job may not require you to do that, but you understand that there is something that you probably want to give back to the society to probably empower others, and we would love to hear from you on what have been some of your stories, the impacts that you've created, your interactions that you've had.
Okay, so actually, as personally as an educator, I find one very important attribute, is that we will need to continuously learn. As we have seen how UiPath have actually evolved, over the last 5 years, when we first started using from Studio, become Student Pro and Studio X, and now Orchestrator, we have a lot of new features and functions. So personally, one thing I feel that we need to keep learning. And of course, as we learn, when we actually share it with the students, share it with organizations, we actually learn even more from that. So by giving back, to the community, by giving back to society, I feel that personally I've actually benefited and learned a lot from it. So of course, one of the things, how do we actually also encourage the organization and society to keep on learning? So actually, over the last few years, we also start to set up community or practices, on this area of RPA within the organization. So after they have attended courses, after they have gotten the certificate, but how do they, keep learning, keep abreast with the latest development? So with this, I feel that this UiPath education actually play a very important central role in the adoption and in having a bot for everyone and for them to really realize the benefits.
Thank you, Vincent. As you said, we learn more when we share, right? And I think that is what, I think your success today in the ecosystem actually attributes to that. Saravanan, your closing remarks as we, your community impact stories that we want to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So learning and constructive feedback is very, very important. So as we are in the skilling industry, so we also have in order to give back to the society, it is not, even though I say I have 1,000+ colleges across India whom I am working as a pride, but in order to give back, we always need the highest of the authority, which is the government stamp, to be there. So we, in order to give back, we closely work with even though 1,200 are member officially, we wanted to give back to all the colleges, even who are not a member of ICT Academy also. So we work with the consortium of the engineering institutions, which is called All India Council for Technical Education. We tie up with them and ensure that we are working in the not in the areas where there is no internet access also. For example, we work in two predominant states, which is the Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir. So where there is enough, there is no infrastructure, there is a very bad infrastructure, there is no internet connectivity power. So these challenges are there. So in order to give back to those, we have set up our facility there. We have ensured that the benefit which is given to all our partners, exclusive for UiPath kind of organization, is also reaching those kind of places, so that the talent is everywhere. So it is not only in India, it is in everywhere. So talent has to be identified. So I am in an important initiative of identifying and giving the right talent to the industry. So as an organization, I am proud that I am connecting both industry and academia to ensure that the next generation youth are well equipped in the technology. So that is one giveaway we are giving. And frequently we also organize a lot of community events. For example, we do, as I said, the industry institute is a wide term. So we offer a lot, we organize a lot of roundtable or exclusive meet of kind of things, where we get inputs from the educators like Vincent. From India, we get a lot of educators. We get inputs from the educators, and we also have academia and industry coming together, having some knowledge shared on that. And from there, we learn what is required from the industry and what is required for the academy. We connect that also. So actually we act as a bridge. Again, I'm using the word, we act as a bridge between the industry and academic output. And very happy to be a part of all the community activities of UiPath, and ensure that ICT Academy will be striving for the development of the community and the next generation youth.
Thank you, Saravanan. I think just for your information, right? So we actually had one of these LinkedIn reports that we pulled out to their talent platform that is it. And what came out as a significant outcome from that was, out of the top 7 or 8 cities in the world, 6 of them are in India, and the next city which has the biggest RPA talent is Singapore. Right, and it is coincidental that both the countries are actually represented in this panel, and and that shows how significant it is, or how important it is for us to build a education ecosystem, because the future of all these of the next generation depends on what we build as an outcome from this. Right. With that, I think in the interest of time, it was a very good discussion. There's a lot of information, a lot of insights shared. Thank you to both of you, Vincent and Saravanan, for taking time and sharing this update. I'm sure there are others who would want to, the listeners would want to connect with you. And for all those who wish to connect with Vincent and Saravanan, request you to connect with them on LinkedIn and other professional platforms. And thank you once again.